water on here.
It's okay. It's just rock.
Just make sure you watch your step.
I know. It's right here. It's wet.
You're going in your gold mine.
It's not scary. You get all the light.
Yeah. Dynamite.
Make our first quick stop right here. Let everybody gather down so they can hear. Gather around.
I see treasure.
I got you.
Alright guys, can everyone hear me in the back pretty good?
Yes.
Alright, what you guys are standing in is what is called a hard rock mine. This mine was operational from 1896 to 1908. What they would be looking for in the hard rock mines would be what is called white quartz rock. If you go and look up here, you can actually see a piece of this white quartz rock that they would actually be looking for. Now, a big piece of vein of white quartz rock that they would be looking for would be about 5 to 6 inches wide to about a foot. Now, what you're looking at here, this big opening, this is actually the world's largest piece of white quartz rock ever found inside of a hard rock mine. Wow. It actually spanned 22 feet wide from each side, and it actually spanned from the end of this cavern here to right above your heads is what you're looking at. Wow. And now there's actually, in each one of these bridges that was left over, there was actually an estimated $40,000 worth of gold in each single one of these bridges that are left over. And in one day out of here, they actually pulled out 55.4 pounds worth of gold, which is equivalent to over $1 million in today's gold prices in a single day in this mine.
Is this how the kids say lit? These are dynamite boxes. These are dynamite boxes.
That's actually the way we're going to be coming back up after the tour's over. We're going to be making a big old circle down through here.
So that vein that we saw, they literally took out the white quartz
white
granite.
quartz rock. Yep, and that's what fits inside the gold. That's where the gold is. Wow. It's amazing to me.
I hear water. I hear
You
water.
got everybody down here?
I hear a
No. Okay, perfect. Alright guys, if you want to take a look over here, this is exactly what they would be looking for also. That is that white quartz rock. How they would get this out is they would chisel out holes into the face of this rock. They would completely fill these holes full of dynamite. And now once these holes are filled with dynamite, they would tie all the pieces together, light it, blast this rock out. And once the rock was blasted out, they would put it inside of a mine cart and take it out to the mill out back at the front of our mines. Once that rock reached our mill, they would run it over big crushers. It would crush up the rock into a fine powder. Now once that rock was crushed up, they would run it over hot pools of mercury, and that's actually what would separate the gold from the rock. Now the reason that it was this kind of process to do this is because the gold that they were finding inside of this mine, they had a special name for it, and it was actually called flour gold. Now the reason that they would call it flour gold is because each piece of gold that they would be finding inside of this rock would be the size of a grain of cooking flour. So it would actually take around 3 tons of this rock just to equal a single ounce of gold inside of this mine. We can make our way down these stairs here. Be sure and watch your heads on this rock. This rock is the only rock in the mine that has a name. It's called the wishing rock. It's because if you hit your head on it, you're going to definitely wish you did not. So please watch your head as we continue our way down here. y'all want to take a look over here real fast, we're going to talk about these tools. How they would blast all that rock out. They would have a guy holding this star-shaped chisel like this one. And they would have another guy holding a much bigger hammer than the one that I have. And what he would do is he would stick this chisel up against the face of this rock. One guy would hold this chisel and another guy would just simply swing it. And they would keep that chisel turning, and this would be their job for 12 hours a day, and they would get paid $1.25 to do this job for the entire day. And now to make a single blast, they actually had to have 12 of these holes to move inside the faces of these rocks before they could blast it. And each single one of these holes had to be around 6 feet deep. So it would actually take around 2 hours to go a single foot. So it'd actually be about 90 man-hours just to move 6 feet closer into the rock. And that's actually how they made all these tunnels that you're walking through today. So you can imagine the amount of man-hours that it would take to actually build this mine. But now the reason that they had to keep this chisel turning is because the metal and the minerals inside of the rock would actually start to heat up. And now once that happened, and they didn't pull it out, the chisel would actually concrete itself into the face of the rock like this chisel right here. And now if that ever happened, a miner would actually lose his entire day's worth of pay to cover the cost of a new chisel down here if he happened to get one of these stuck. Oh, wow. Now as we continue down, you can actually see some more chisels that are stuck over here on this wall. There's a big one right there. And there's actually 2 up here in the exact same hole. So I'm guessing they got one stuck, tried to get it out with the second chisel, and actually lost double days worth of pay in about a 5-minute time span.
And that's year?
And that's year 1896 to 1908 is whenever this mine was operational. Spend a short minute down here in this hole. So I'd like to take a look down here so everyone can see. Let everyone kind of wrap around so everyone can get a good look at it here.
Or you can see and move out of the way so other people can see.
Let's circle around and so that hole that you guys are looking at here, that hole is called a stope. It was made by what we call a stope drill. It was a 150-pound steel drill. It's the first air-powered drill that we were actually getting in this mine. How they would actually operate this drill is they would lean a ladder against the face of this rock, and they would lean a single 2x6 across each face. And now keep in mind this drill is 150 pounds, so what they have to do is they would put one miner up on that 2x6, and another miner would lift that drill up. There would actually be 2 miners on a single 2x6 going straight up into the rock. And now hard hats weren't invented until the 1920s, so they were actually working out here with no hard hats or masks. And now the major problem that this drill created is that if you can see the shiny stuff on the sides of this rock, that's called silicon. Now whenever this drill would break up this rock, it would create this dust called, it would give these miners what is called a miner's cough. It would actually be like breathing in tiny shards of glass, and they would actually turn their skin blue in 3 weeks' time if you were breathing in these minerals. Now we can continue this way here. If y'all just want to follow me.
Why were they going up so high?
Going up so high? Yeah, this drill could actually only drill one direction, which was straight up. It could not drill straight down. It could only drill straight up. That's actually why you're seeing that big hole right there. Now be sure to watch your heads as we make our way down through here. This is the shortest part of the mine. These rocks do not feel good if you hit them.
No.
And they will not budge either.
No.
Because your mom is standing up. You can stand up.
As we continue to go down, if y'all have any more questions or anything, feel free to ask, and I'll do my best to answer those for you. Right there, we're going to make our way down through here. So follow me.
This cave is way different than anything.
You're more than welcome to grab a seat if you like. These benches are not wet. We're going to spend a short amount of time in here.
Want to sit down and listen? Why? Because he said we're going to spend a little bit of time in here.
Let's spend a short amount of time in here. This is actually the amount of light that they would be working with back in the day. And this lighter right here actually emits more light than the old Edison style light bulb, believe it or not. But actually at the beginning of the day, each miner would get 3 candles to use as their light. So they actually started working in pairs, and so the first miner would use his first 3 candles, and the next miner would use his last 3, and hopefully they'd actually have enough time to get outside of the mine. The reason I'm showing you guys this right here is because I don't know if you guys have ever tried to run with a candle or not, but they would actually light that dynamite, and whenever they would actually take off running, it would just go completely dark. And now these miners would actually have to feel their way through these blast tunnels in pitch black darkness to find one of the safety tunnels to get outside of the mine before one of those blasts went off. Turn the lights on where so everybody can see.
We're good.
We get outside here. It's called a drifter drill. It was much more efficient than a stoke drill because it was actually connected to this metal rod right here. And you could drill into the face of the rock instead of just one direction, straight up or down. And it would actually blast water out of the end of this chisel so it died down that miner's cough dust so you would actually not get that anymore. However, the only main problem with this drill is that it's actually very, very loud. Now this drill was actually underwater for 85 to 90 years. And believe it or not, this drill actually does still work, and I will actually turn it on for you today so you can actually hear how loud one of these would be. Now it only runs on 5 to 10% of its original power, so I'm going to turn it on for you guys. I'm going to ask y'all to cover your ears real fast for me. Now whenever I turn this on, I want you to listen to the echo that this drill creates throughout this mine. You ready? 3, 2, 1. I'm sorry. You can kind of see the problem here.
Yeah.
And on full power, they would actually have 5 to 6 of these drills running in the same space that you're standing in right now.
And that's just ran on air?
Yep, ran on air compression. Back in the day, they would have an air generator out back, and it actually powered 20 to 25 drills at a time. But now at full power, having 5 to 6 of these drills running in this small space, each of these miners that would be working down here, they would actually go deaf in 2 weeks of working on this drill. They only got paid an extra $1 to do this job. They got paid $1.50 instead of $1.25. And they actually tried to come up with a system to combat the deafness. They make them work down here on this drill for a week, week and a half, and then make it mandatory to work above ground for 2 weeks, and then let them come back down. However, it only halted the process for an additional 4 to 5 months, and they actually still lost their hearing. But y'all are more than welcome to take videos, pictures, whatever you like of this drill. I'll get out of your safety man. His job, he was actually the highest paid man on the mine. Whenever he had to come and work, he would make $3.50 a day whenever he had to come work. But his job was, whenever they would tie all that dynamite together, they would light it, everyone would take off running, cover your ears, but no blast went off. So what they had to do is they would have to clear out every single miner in this mine, and they would send down one single man. He was the safety man. He would be equipped with this metal rod here with a spear on the end. What he would have to do is he would have to go in the back of those blasting tunnels, take this metal spear, stick it in each single one of those holes, and drill out each piece of dynamite one by one, hoping that it did not go off. And now surprisingly, there are actually no documented deaths of this job in this mine. In the 8-year period of this mine opening, there was only 2 documented deaths in its entire history. One is from a runaway mine cart, and the second one is from that stoke drill that I was talking to y'all about earlier, due to falling rocks. There's actually only 2 deaths in this entire mine, believe it or not. But we can make our way up through here. Be sure to hang on your right-hand side because the water tends to drip on your left here. We'll start to conclude our tour up this way. If y'all want to follow me.
There's water here.